Hi Success class, and apologies again for Christina not coming to your class at 8 o'clock. She thought that it was 9 o'clock like we had our blended week, so she's very sorry about that. So first I wanted to thank you for handing in your time management assignment and collecting them and taking them to my office, and I'll pick them up and mark them as soon as I can, so I appreciate that. I just wanted to do this quick overview of the PowerPoint slides. You can certainly go through them a little slower. I'm just going to go through so you at least have an idea of what we were going to do this week. So thank you for submitting your time management. I'm going to start with a tiny bit of review. Then there's a self-assessment in the textbook, and I'll show you what pages those are on. Then I'm going to introduce you to a reading and note-making strategy, I guess, that you'll be using for your reading and note-making assignment that's due after reading week. So I'll introduce you to 3 concepts that you'll be using for that assignment. And then we're going to explore the topic of automaticity. So I'm going to invite you at one point in the PowerPoint for you to go back in yourself and just watch the video from Dr. Chu, and he's going to talk about that topic because that will be on the test that's coming up in week 7. So just want to make sure you are aware of that term. It's related to our memory and how we remember things for tests. And then finally, this actually the last bullet, I'm going to introduce in class when I'm back with you in week 7. We miss week 6 because of Thanksgiving, so I'll see you in week 7. Yes, and at that time I'm going to explain to you why I've been away. I just can't talk about it right now. So I will make sure that I explain that to you. Alright, so that's our agenda for this quick little video that I'm creating for you. So first we're going to start with a little bit of review, and in class what I was going to do, or Christina was going to do, is have clickers, and I was just going to ask you to click in. So obviously we can't do a poll this way because it's a video, but just wondered the matrix for taking math notes. I wondered if you had a chance to use it yet. So sometimes people I used it, still trying to decide if it's for me. I haven't tried it yet, or some people still answer what is a math matrix. So just a quick review. A math matrix is just creating a note page for taking math, sometimes chemistry notes as well, where you just create a little chart. And it's easier to take notes this way because math, you don't really take notes like you're writing, so this helps people often remember things better this way. The other thing that you learned about, hopefully, was looking at memorizing random isolated things, and in the video Dr. Chu told us that will not help us remember things for a test. So random isolated facts, we don't want to do that. So what we want to do is when we're memorizing or learning information is make sure we're clustering them into like-minded things. That way our brain has something to connect to and recall because it makes sense. So remember when you're studying that you're putting things together and making connections, and that way it will help you remember better. So that was just a review on that. The stoplight technique, hopefully that was introduced last week. So the stoplight, just a question for you. So what color of the stoplight do you study first? Is it green, yellow, red, or any color? Do you remember? So normally we would have a chart here, and the answer is is red. So red means that you don't remember this. The teacher talked about it, said it's important. I don't remember it, so I'm going to focus on that first. Yellow is I kind of sort of know this, and green is I know it, so I'm going to just review it quickly at the end. I'm not going to waste time looking at that over and over. So just a review on the stoplight. So in your textbook, if you can pause this video for a second and open up to page 65, and then you're going to go to page 93 and page 103. These are very quick little self-assessments related to how you read and make notes in class. So one's related to striving and how does it inform your reading and remembering, and how you listen, and then also evaluating your current class note style. So if you can do that, that would be great. And then often students, they look at the textbook, it's overwhelming, there's way too much information, so where do we even begin? So there's a technique that's used at colleges and universities. It's very, very successful, and it's called SQ3R, and I'll go over what this means in a minute. And in your textbook, it's on page 66. If you want to look at that, it'll make more sense to you. So SQ3R stands for survey, skimming through the chapter, look at the chapter summary, look at the advanced organizer, skim through the chapter before you start to read. Ask yourself questions using the headings in the book, and then read to answer the questions. So let's say you go back to the chapter summary in the back of the book. There's a bullet that's very confusing. Turn it into a question, go into the textbook and spot read for clarity to understand it. Or when you're going through the textbook, you've got headings for each of the sections in the book. They're usually in bold. Turn that heading into a question. So look at your textbook. So let's say, for example, let's say the heading in the book is memory is a process. So that's just a statement. So then you might turn it around and say, well, what is the process for memory? How does our memory work? What process would I look like? I thought memory was just a place in my brain. Now I don't know what that means. So what is the process of our memory, and what would that be? So now you're going to read the textbook to understand what that process of memory is. The next thing you'll do is read the material carefully, highlighting and paraphrasing. Reciting means you read out loud in your own words, sections that are especially confusing. And then the R stands for, the last R is review what you read, and make notes on things that you didn't understand to clarify. So that's a quick summary of SQ3R. I'm going to go over it in more detail when I see you face to face. So the reading assignment that we have that comes in after reading week, you're going to be using the SQ3R. You're going to be photocopying a page from a textbook. You can use bio, you can use chemistry, and you're going to demonstrate how you would highlight. And I'm going to teach you how to do that in a minute. Paraphrase and annotate. Record your information using Cornell Note. You're going to take 3 new terms in your bio book, for example, and you're going to create cue cards, but you're going to use the Frayer model, which I'll show you in a minute. And then you're going to finally reflect using questions on page 71 in your textbook to reflect on your reading. So there is a detailed description of the assignment in the assignment section. So if this was very confusing, please just go pause this video, open up on Blackboard assignments, and open up the reading and note making assignment number 3. So another little tip: when you start reading a textbook, read the chapter summary first. It's like a movie preview, and then you start reading your book. That's a little tip that I could give you. Read the chapter summary before you start reading the textbook. It'll give you an overview quickly of the whole chapter, and you can focus on what you need to learn, not reread information that you already know. So for the reading assignment, I was going to be doing this in class in your small groups, was actually create a chapter map of a chapter in your bio book. So for example, here are some examples of a chapter or graphic organizer that you can turn the full chapter into a one-page organized picture. So some people prefer things like this. For some people that aren't visual learners, this is like way too confusing. Some people choose to do it more in boxes. Some people like to have it organized just in writing. But however you choose, you're going to take the chapter, summarize it into one page as an overview as part of the assignment. The cue card that we're going to be learning more about is called the Frayer model. And the Frayer model, you can see here, you put the definition in your own words. You write the characteristics about the new term, you give examples, and the non-example means if there's something that's usually confused or similar to the word. Sometimes people, if they're confused about that, they can, that will help them. For example, if the word was mitosis, the non-example might be meiosis. And what's the difference? Because sometimes students get confused with different words like that. The principle behind this card is actually called Bloom's taxonomy. And Bloom's taxonomy is a type of philosophy, I guess, that teachers learn, but rarely we tell students about it. So I'm excited to share that with you as a teacher. Many students, if you look at the very bottom of this triangle, it's about remembering, recalling information from our long-term memory. But many students study that it's not in their long-term memory. They're just rereading things over and over. So the very lowest level of learning is just trying to remember and memorizing information. What we test for as teachers, we test the next two levels. We want to know that you understand the information and you can apply it. We're not as concerned that you can rewrite a definition, but that you can apply the definition. So let me go back to the other slide. So if you can write the definition in your own words, you can write down some facts and characteristics about the words, and you can give examples, then now you're going to be more likely to recall the information and be able to apply it. So here's a sample of one that's already created. So you could change the corners, you can put them into other, use other headings. Some people, instead of non-examples, would actually put a visual example that helps them remember the information. Here's another example. How well do I understand it? This will help you sort your cards later into your piles of red, yellow, and green. So these are just different ways you can create a cue card. So you're going to be handing in 3 of these cue cards with your assignment after reading week, just to demonstrate that you practiced using these. So here's the video. I'd like you to pause this video now, go into the PowerPoint just on your own, and if you can watch this video, and what you're going to be watching for are keys that are going to help you achieve deep processing, and also what does the term automaticity mean? And how does it help us learn? He's going to talk about words like elaboration, distinctiveness, personal retrieval, and application. So just listen for those words as he talks about them in the video. So please pause this video and go in and watch video part 3 from Dr. Chu that's in the PowerPoint on Blackboard. I'm going to go over this with you, so we're not doing obviously this activity in my video right now, but I'm going to talk more next week when I see you after Thanksgiving week, about memory and helping you understand how our memory works. So the last piece I'd like to talk about is highlighting. So could you please pause this video for a second, and I want you to read just the yellow highlighted words. So now you've read the yellow words. Now I'd like you to pause it again and read all of the black words. So now that you've read both, my question to you is, did the yellow capture all of the black words? And that's how you want to highlight. You want to highlight just keywords. I never want you to highlight a sentence again, because that's called coloring, and that will not help you remember. So highlighting keywords is very distinctive and very intentional, and I'll talk to you more about that when I have more time to explain it. So here's another example. So pause the video. I want you just to read the green words. And again, now read all the black words, and did it capture it? So the key is highlight as few words as possible and choose key words. So my thing I would say to students, highlight less, think more. So how this is working is that you're actually engaging your neurons to actually choose what you want to read or what you want to listen to. So active note making, and highlighting is an example, is you're reflecting, you're deciding, you're organizing, you're connecting thoughts, you're making boxes. So highlighting correctly will help you do that, because you want the information to go into your long-term, not get dumped out of short-term memory. So we're going to be practicing that. So I believe that you learned about Cornell notes last week. So again, just to practice, hopefully you got the handout in class on the Cornell note. If not, I'm going to bring lots to class, and you can take your notes here, put cues along the side, and then make summaries at the bottom. The next few slides are actually reviews for the test, so I'm going to leave them with you to go over on your own, so you can just go through them, and you'll see the answers are going to come up as you go through. So So here's a little overview of what we're going to have on the test, and those are some of the concepts. You can look at this slower on the PowerPoint that I've given to you. I'm just showing you quickly. And the next slides I have here are some tips on multiple choice tests, and then I have some sample questions that you might see on the test with the